TellyCast.
Hi, I'm Justin Crosby, and welcome to another TellyCast. The commercial opportunities for content creators and IP are growing relentlessly as TV networks seek to bring young audiences to their channels. Brands, too, are desperate to communicate with youth audiences via the talent they follow and the platforms they understand. My guest this week is co-founder of leading digital-first talent management and production company Monrae Management, Elspeth Rae. Welcome to the show, Elspeth.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on the show and telling us a little bit about Monrae, which is a business, really at the cutting edge of content. I'm really excited to talk about that and hear about your development and how the company's coming together and what you're aiming to do in the future. But first of all, tell us about your career so far, because I think, a lot of leaders within the digital first sector have obviously cut their teeth in traditional TV production businesses or networks. Yeah. Tell us about how you got started in the content industry and what led you to creating Monrae Management and Productions.
So I was at an events company called Media 10 in Essex for many years and working on big shows, big trade shows, based around design actually primarily. So I worked on one called Clerkenwell Design Week and then 100% Design. But the company owned the Ideal Home Show and Grand Design. So I really did cut my teeth there and I learned so much about marketing and B2B and B2C consumer marketing actually. So it was a really interesting way to sort of start my career. I then managed to get into Endemol around 2014 when they were just starting, or they just started to really look and invest in the digital kind of economy and the digital online creator world. They built this part of the company, Endemol Shine, called Endemol Beyond. And what they were doing there was they were trying to, they successfully starting up YouTube channels with talent from companies that they'd invested in, like OP Talent and various other ones. And they were building YouTube channels and doing a good job of it, actually. And I was brought in across one called Legends of Gaming. And the task was to create a live event around this gaming show. And I knew nothing about gaming. I still would know more, but I'm still not an expert. We made this amazing show at Alexandra Palace, and we did it for 2 years. And as part of that, one of the stars of the show was a guy called Dan TDM. There were many other stars, but he was one of them. Myself and various other members of the team, Jules Fuller, Tom Greenwood-Mears, got on with him really, really well and thought, there's probably some kind of bigger live event here. Is there a tour even? And this was sort of in the time when, and it has changed the creator world and the online digital world. It's changed. And I'm not sure you could do this in the same way. But this was a time when everyone was just going mad for creators. Like, we want the merchandise, we want the tours, we want the DVDs, everything. And Dan is such a brand-friendly, kid-friendly offering. And he said, yeah, let's do it. And he just had a book come out. And so we took him on tour and sold over 250,000 tickets across the world and played the Sydney Opera House and all of this. And it was incredible. And off the back shot of that was Tom Greenwood-Mears and I set up a small indie label at Endemol, Endemol Shine, called Cut and Mustard. And we did lots more of these tours. And then I got pregnant.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, that's the important bit.
Exactly.
So you came into the content industry from an events.
Correct. Yeah.
Size, which is kind of unusual. And that's it's very interesting now because obviously we're looking at the way that brands have been built through content creation and now more and more they seem to be able to be translated into live events.
Oh, 100%.
And I think Endemol were one of the earliest or the most visionary companies really when it came to certainly digital first, but also exploitation of IP.
Well, Endemol Shine built their whole kind of back catalogue on being able to distribute whatever they made, and hugely successfully, and reformatting and Big Brother all around the world and Celebrity Big Brother and MasterChef. And so I learnt so much there. And although I wasn't within necessarily to begin with firmly in the TV part of the company, it all starts bleeding in and you start to learn. And I was doing a lot of production management and producing bits and pieces, and then, became an MD with my partner, Tom, at the time, business partner, and launched this really exciting company that was touring digital first talent.
What came next then? You moved obviously onto Monrae.
Yes.
Tell us about Monrae Management and what you're doing now and what your business offers.
In 2019, I got pregnant, and actually looking back, I'm glad it was then, because obviously COVID happened. Endemol Shine got bought by Banijay, and lots of big changes happened in the company. I was quite lucky in a way that I made that decision then. I left on sort of my own terms, and I set up sort of my own just company before Brona and I met properly and started working together. I was working still with Dan TDM, who's a big online digital star, and I was managing him. And then Brona, who I'd met briefly, Brona Monaghan, who's the other half of Monrae, she had been involved in the purchase of Dan's tour DVD at the BBC. And she was also a freelance talent manager, and her background was at Gleam Futures, who were a big industry-leading digital-first talent management company. But she covered my maternity leave for 5 months during those first heady, awful days of COVID, and essentially managed Dan and kind of got him through that and got me through that. And we came out the other side, and we immediately said, God, we'll just work together. Let's form something together, because it's a really strong unit, and my talent like you, and you've got some talent who hopefully might quite like me. So now we represent 8 to 9 of the world's, I'd say, some of the world's leading online digital talent in all genres, in not all, but in lots of genres, primarily gaming, which is strange because neither Brona or I are gamers ourselves. But I think it just shows you that you don't have to be kind of experts in that field if the people you're working with are experts, and what they need is someone to come in and help them perhaps diversify their business or help them lead them into a different area of the market.
The strategic view they're looking for, yes, essentially.
Correct. So you made an interesting point earlier about it was unusual that I came from an events company into this. Well, actually now I toured with Dan. Many of the other talent we work with have done live events, and we're about to go on tour with I won't say who, but another one of our roster on a big UK tour. So we're really bought in to look at the opportunities beyond YouTube, and we really kind of cherry pick the talent we do work with and aim to work with talent and creators that we think can work beyond YouTube and have a confidence and a kind of story to tell and a vision, whether that be for books or for brand deals are a part of what we do, but it's not the main bulk of it. Is there a TV show, which we'll come on to later, in their IP or an IP that we create together, or games themselves? Might they want to be games, create a game publishing arm, or it's very, very interesting. And it's a lot like working with founders, I guess, young founders, and working out what they want to do next.
So the average age of your client base is what, mid-20s, early, younger than that?
Average age probably is mid-20s. So we've got, the youngest we have is 18, Tommy Innit, who is a very successful Minecraft streamer, now just comedy streamer and content creator. Dan, or Adam Savage, is my age, so 38. So I'd say late 20s. Late 20s is probably the average age. Yeah.
And in terms of the platform that has really led to their success, is it mainly YouTube?
That's a really interesting question. And yes, for us, it's mainly YouTube. And that is a decision that we made at the start. Both of our backgrounds are working with YouTube content creators, so we feel that we're most confident in that area. Brona is very au fait with Instagram creators as well, and she loves TikTok personally. But I think we both wanted to steer away from finding talent on TikTok, just because that very quick short form content doesn't necessarily equate to being able to present a live show for 2 hours. Whereas I think if you can hold your own and edit a 1 hour YouTube or 2 hour YouTube video down and create a thumbnail, and the art of creating a sort of 15 to 30 minute YouTube video that millions of people watch. To me, there's an artistry and a real talent there that we feel we see the most ability to forge a career beyond that platform.
So all your creators, are they embracing shorts now, YouTube shorts?
They are, yeah. And they are all on TikTok as well. I mean, Tom's got about 12 million followers on TikTok, and Dan has 4 or 5 million. Yabby has a few million. And they all love that short way of creating. But they're in their own right. I think they would argue that they love the act of creating a longer form video. And yes, they're all using YouTube shorts as well and finding it a massive benefit to their channels. It's been interesting to see how YouTube Shorts has sent people back to the main channel and kind of retained length of viewing on videos and subscribers, etc. So yeah, they're very into shorts.
So how do you go about scouting for new clients and talent then? How does that work? I mean, are you just sat on YouTube all day?
We talk about this all the time. I would say I'm not the one who scouts for talent. Brona is the woman who has her finger on the pulse far more than I. I'm just about making it through the day and picking up my daughter from nursery at the end of it and can brush my own teeth. Brona has just a nose for finding talent. And yes, she's not on it all day by any means. She's also running 2 successful businesses, but she is out there looking for talent on Instagram. YouTube, we're looking actually, it's quite interesting trying to find them in other countries, trying to find them without management, because actually people get scooped up very, very quickly. Recommendations. We are deliberately keeping our roster quite small. There's still only 2 of us. It's still Brona and I. We're about to turn 2 in April, but still just the 2 of us. And we're deliberately keeping it small in an effort to give as much of ourselves to those talent as we can and build them up as big as we possibly can. Because with the Yammies and the Dan TDMs and the Tommies, there's a big business and there's big opportunities there because they're so huge themselves. But we're always looking for another female gamer because we have Yami, who's one of the leading female gamers, certainly in the UK, if not the world. We're very, very keen to find another.
So, well, anybody out there, if they know of any female gamers looking for representation, then, get in touch with Elspeth. When you're looking to identify some talent that you want to represent, as you say, I guess it must be a challenge because this sector is incredibly competitive, right?
Huge. And there's so many people. I mean, there's just, you switch on YouTube now and there's you're like, oh, who are these guys? And they've got 14 million views. Like, where have they come from?
Yeah.
So it's not saturated, but it is full. It's noisy marketplace.
What are the criteria for you looking at talent? Is it purely followers? Because obviously there has to be a minimum a minimum audience. And what is that? Is that like 5 million followers or?
Another good point. So no, we want to be impressed by talent. And hear what their story is, why they're different. Are there any others like them out there? And obviously the very, very, very global talent, the kind of massive, huge kind of the ones leading
Mr. Beast, for example,
the Mr. Beasts. Yeah, that goes without saying that if you find a Mr. Beast, you want to be a part of that. But we have Bola Soul, Twiggy Jarlow, who have a following on YouTube, but it's not in the hundreds of thousands, not in the tens of thousands. And I think on Instagram, they're in the 20, 30,000. I think Twiggy's got to about 11,000. But Twiggy, for instance, is a really kind of interesting one. She's a wellness journalist at Vogue. She's neurodiverse and she's making a show at the moment I just want to make sure I get it right. She's in an upcoming documentary with Channel 4 about ADHD. She's very open about that. So her story feels really unique. She's a young black girl at Vogue. She identifies as queer, female, and she's neurodiverse. So there's no one else really in that bit talking about that. So for us, that feels like a really interesting opportunity to say, well, hold on, this person's got an amazing story. How can we help tell that? Whether it's in documentaries, whether it's in books, Bola Sol, who's another talent we represent. She's got various books out. She talks about financial well-being, and she's a finance coach and author. She's got books out with Stormzy's imprint, Murky Books. So for us, again, that's different, and that's someone else who is speaking to a part of the internet that other people aren't speaking to, but it's a part of the internet that has got a rapt audience who are willing to sort of listen and engage with them. So no, you don't have to have 5 million followers. You just have to be telling a really interesting story.
So it's more about the characteristics of the talent and the opportunity that you can see within that, as opposed to an audience already that you can take to a brand. And
which is great too, obviously. Yeah. Obviously it is. But it's really, development talent are really exciting to work with as well. So we have kind of a few of them and a few big hitters. In
terms of the commercial partners that are coming in to this space, because there are more and more and more seemingly every week, it's obviously a really vibrant sector, and a lot of brands are wanting to communicate with youth audiences. They know that they can't do that through TV anymore. They know they can't do that through various other channels, but obviously creators hold the key to not only their own community, but also can translate that message to a wider audience as well. So what sort of brands do you find are looking to partner with talent right across sectors? Because, I mean, I know you're representing perhaps mainly gaming talent, but not only.
Yeah, we have 5 talent who are in the gaming world or who started off there and who are now able to straddle into more kind of commercial areas.
Yeah, well, we've seen how the Sidemen have absolutely blown the doors off this whole sector by coming from Grand Theft Auto servers and talking about gaming. So that's like a normal career path, right?
Yeah, that is an amazing career path. And what the Sidemen have done is extraordinary. And what JJ has done with OP and the boxing, and what he's doing with Arcade Media and Jordan and everyone, and building up Prime, and he's a very astute businessman, and he sees opportunities and he takes them, and it's kind of admirable and impressive. So yes, that's an incredible part of the market. So many brands want to work with online talent. The ones we work with, brand deals are a kind of bread and butter of the business, but they're not the most exciting part of it. And I think that's fair to say, because basically what you're doing is bringing money into the business for the talent so they can then go off and film the documentary they want to fund themselves, or buy a property for their mum, or whatever it is they decide they want to do, or invest back in themselves in a merchandise line or Prime Energy or whatever it is. So they're a sort of necessary part of the business. And sometimes you work with incredible brands. You want to keep going back and back. Yami, for instance, who is the wonderful female gamer we represent, has just signed a deal to become an ambassador for Lego for the year. And Lego is such a perfect fit for Yami. It's wonderful. Kind of young, she's very brand kid friendly. All of her content is really, really appropriate, and Lego see that and they'll immediately switch onto it. Talk Alive work with Yami. She's had kind of perfume brands, fashion brands. She did some stuff with Minecraft and Burberry. And then you have the more traditional gaming brands, the big publishers like Nintendo who want to work with Dan. And then you get onto really interesting things, which is why Brono and I set up Monrae Productions, where a commissioner will say, well, hold on, I've got money here I want to spend creating a new TV show for a younger audience. Why don't I tap into the gaming or the kind of online YouTube gaming world and see if that translates into kids TV? And yes, it has. So money coming into the company, Monrae Productions and Monrae Management, can come from brands, but we're now seeing it come from television commissions that we're getting.
Right.
Well.
So you're going out proactively with your roster, speaking to commissioners, and are you pitching shows? Are you developing your own IP with your own talent in mind?
Well, that's the dream. I mean, it was a bit of an accident. During 2021, the wonderful Ian France, I can't sing his praises enough, at Sky Kids, part of the Lucy Murphy's team, just rang me, got hold of my number or email and said, I'd really love to see if we can talk about Dan TDM being on a TV show. We've got another talent called Ethan Gamer.
Has he been on TV before, Dan?
Dan had been clipped on TV, and when he'd done his tour and his book and his arena tour that we'd done with him, he had done a lot of press, but he'd never have like a show featuring him. No.
That's extraordinary.
It was amazing.
By the way, if anybody hasn't come across Dan TDM, if you've got kids, ask them. But if you haven't, just explain about Dan TDM's success and who he is and where he's come from and what sort of level of success he has. So
Dan Middleton, aka Dan TDM, is one of the world's biggest, if not the biggest, Minecraft gamer. So that's where he started. He's a variety gamer now. He's got nearly 27 million subscribers on his main channel. I think he's got 20 billion views across his main channel. He was the most watched YouTube channel in the world in 2017. He's got 3 different YouTube channels now, one of which deals with where he can do live streams on. He's just the most lovely guy I've ever had the pleasure of working with. I've known him for about 7-8 years now. And he is a young dad to 2 young sons. He's only 31. And he's kind of a real role model and inspiration to a lot of young boys and girls and men and women. He started making YouTube videos back in, I think it was like 2011. He loved Pokemon and started kind of doing Pokemon trading card videos, and then got into Minecraft. And it has got such a kind of explosive imagination that he created these reams and reams of stories. I mean, it sounds like your sons watch them, but where he's creating worlds in Minecraft. And the views on these videos are just insane. And people are still watching them. These old videos where he's got his blue hair and he's in Minecraft Hardcore or something else. And yeah, he's a really, really talented young guy. And he's a perfect example of how we are able to work with IP that is perhaps owned by a talent, and we can share IP with them or create something new. Challenge Dan, which is another TV show we made. Dan and we own the rights along with our brilliant production partners, The Nest, and we're distributing it. So it's a fantastic opportunity for him to enter sort of the next phase of his career almost, or a different part of his career. One of the reasons for his success is incredibly talented, as you say, but having him been in the corner of our living room for about at least 2 or 3 years with my son, the great thing about him is that I think you trusted the content that he was creating, and you trusted your kid to sit down and watch that content and know that there's nothing kind of weird going on. And much in the same way that you're very happy to watch a CBeebies show or a network linear TV show. Totally. And I think Sky Kids worked that out. They were like, hold on, there are certain talent on YouTube, which is a scary pace, YouTube. Totally. And we're all aware of it. There's all sorts of videos on there if you don't know how to set up your settings in a certain way and parental guidance and controls. And yeah, Sky Kids very early on, or sort of a couple of years ago, called, well, we can create a space that is safe to watch gaming and to watch these icons that kids love, but on a platform that parents are trusting too. So they go, oh, that's fine. He loves Dan TDM, but I'm far happier. I'm happier for him to watch it on Sky Kids than I am on YouTube. So it's a win-win. All the Yammies, all the Ethan Gamers, all the Cabs family, all of these talent that we're working with and bringing onto platforms like Sky Kids. Okay, so tell us what's next with Monrae then, Elspeth. What does 2023 hold for the business, and where are you going with all your talent? Again, we're out. We've got various development deals and TV production companies and commissioners that are looking at things. We've got another thing we're trying to get away based around Roblox, which is really exciting, which will be featuring our talent and other talents. So that's in the production arm, and we're out to commissioners all the time, always with a digital first idea. So it could be a talent that started online that could then move to a 4.0 or a channel 4 or an ITV Studios piece, or a CBBC or a Sky, or we're looking at IP or a format that might have created online, a TikTok trend or something, and how we can move that into a more traditional kind of TV sphere. And then Monrae with our talent, we've got one of them's going on a big tour. We've got several books coming out this year. Jenny Mustard, she's got a big book called OK Days coming out with Scepter, which is really exciting. And we're just, talking about exciting business opportunities and whether we set even another company up to look at more opportunities for diversifying online talent businesses and strategies, essentially.
Everyone will have to tune into The Drop, which is dropmedia.co.uk, to check out what news is coming out of Monrae, which I'm sure we'll be featuring that. It'll be interesting to see what's happening with all your clients and all the business on the digital first side of things.
Yeah.
And now it's time for Story of the Week, where my guests get to nominate their content industry news that's caught their eye in the past 7 days. Elspeth, what's your Story of the Week?
Brona spotted this one, actually. It's related to our industry and we just thought it was really heartwarming. A Black British family, Nigerian and Ghanaian, have been commissioned to create a new television show about their daughter's life, which will be called Amma's Story. This young girl, their daughter, Elise, had been unable to find a costume that she was happy to wear for World Book Day a few years ago. And she went dressed in traditional African dress and then felt, I think, quite embarrassed felt that she felt comfortable and wanted to sort of go home and change into one of the more traditional Disney princess or whatever it was. And this family have created a series of books that have done really, really well, completely off their own back, and a small animation about this. And it's got commissioned by Lucy Murphy at Sky Kids. And I just think it's an amazing example of making TV in a totally non-traditional way and being able to showcase that anyone can make good content, basically. So that's my story of the week.
They've never made any TV shows before. They've got no experience whatsoever, and they've just...
And I love it. And I kind of love that they've uploaded a little short to YouTube, which they've, again, animated themselves. I think mum works in child safeguarding and dad's an airline pilot. And they've just gone and done it to make their daughter feel like she has a space and she should be represented. And good on Lucy Murphy for going, brilliant. More kids should see this. And I just, really thought it was a brilliant story.
Very cool. And this the guys at Wild Seed have produced the show for Sky. I'll put a link in the episode description to this story because it is a really inspiring story. So thanks for highlighting that one for us, Elspeth. And now it's time for you to nominate your hero of the week and who or what you're telling to get in the bin, Elspeth. So first of all, who's your hero of the week?
I thought long and hard about this. My hero of the week actually is working parents, because it was half term last week and it was, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, but it was a bit of a shit show over here, just sort of throwing our daughter back and forth at each other. And I just have the utmost respect for men and women who are juggling full-time heavy jobs and bringing up the next generation and attempting to bring them up in an acceptable, positive way. And it's not easy. And I have a 3-year-old and I never thought it would be easy, but I don't think I thought it would be quite as hard as it is. And I'm very lucky to have set my own company up to be able to kind of finish when I need to and run. So my heroes are working parents trying to make it work when the childcare costs in this country, preschool, are appalling. So they are my heroes.
I can already hear a resounding support for that in the earphones here. Everybody that has kids is certainly, seeing the challenges of doing that.
Well,
it's so easy for you. You can just sit them down in front of YouTube.
Sit them in front of a screen. Just take them to Dan's house. Exactly.
Yeah. There we go. And how about in the bin? Who or what's going in the bin, Elspeth?
Oh, I think this might be a bit divisive, but I hate LinkedIn. So I know I should be more pro LinkedIn. There is a certain area of LinkedIn that becomes sort of a bit virtue signally for me that I find very, very hard. And I think LinkedIn, when used properly, in my opinion, or kind of using to talk to people about business. And obviously I want people to be able to shout about their work and their positive work stories. But it's not for me, LinkedIn.
What is it? What is it that
people.
you don't like about it? I mean, is it the self-styled gurus that we see on there?
Yes, it's them. It's the self-styled gurus, Justin. Because God, what is a guru? How is anyone a guru? I'm learning all the time. So yes, I find them tricky. Also, I just find it quite personally unnatural. I find it quite uncomfortable to write about what I've done and why people should feels like forced congratulation. I don't know. It all gets cringy for me.
Humble bragging.
That. Humble bragging. I don't know.
Okay, humble bragging and self-styled gurus on LinkedIn are all going in the bin.
Yes,
all
please.
Right. Okay. Elspeth, thank you so much for coming on the show this week. It's been really nice to speak to you, and really refreshing to hear somebody who's come from out with the content industry and seeing and seeking and building opportunities for clients who are doing really well in the digital first sector, but also just the whole opportunities around content are really exciting now. So it's really lovely to hear about you and your young business. And I wish you all the very best of luck with the management side and the production side. So we'll be looking out for what's next from you guys.
Oh, thank you for having me, Justin.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Okay.
Well, that's about it for another TellyCast. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please share it with friends and colleagues. And don't forget to check out TellyCast's sister brand, dropmedia.co.uk, for all your digital first industry news. This week's show was recorded in London and edited, as always, by Ian Chambers. Until next week, stay safe